Good evening. Welcome to the City of Wheat Ridge's Candidate Forum for mayoral and for city council candidates. This forum this evening is sponsored by the City of Wheat Ridge and by the League of Women Voters of Jefferson County. The evening forum will be broadcast on Channel 8 and be recorded so that after the forum is completed, it will be available to be aired. My name is Mickey Harlow, and I will be moderating the forum this evening. And I would ask you please to all turn off your cell phones. Thank you very much. The views expressed this evening will be the views of the candidates. Please be aware that the League of Women Voters does not support or oppose candidates. The city and the League are committed to offering a fair, nonpartisan, enlightened forum so that you, the voter, will have good information to make your voting choices. We will begin the evening with the mayoral candidates forum, and the 8 city council candidates will immediately follow. Due to the large number of candidates and the time constraints, we will not be able to take questions from the audience. I know that might be disappointing, but this is because of time. We want to make sure all the candidates get a time to speak. This evening we will have, the forum ends at 8 o'clock, so therefore if candidates are willing, they may meet outside the council chamber and talk with the various members of the audience this evening. We have to be out of the building by 8:30, so that's going to be our time constraint. The candidates have not been given the questions ahead of time. All candidates will have 2 minutes for an opening statement and 1.5 minutes to respond to each question. Each candidate will have 1 minute for a closing statement. A green paddle will be extended when your time starts. A yellow paddle will show you that you have 30 seconds left, and the red panel says your time is up. Side conversations are distracting, so please keep your conversations down so that we can hear the candidates and be respectful of them. And please hold your applause until the end of the forum. As you watch and listen to the candidates, I would tell the audience members, determine which issues are the most important to you and note the candidates' response to those questions. And make note of whether the candidates are answering the questions. Are they specific? Are they sincere? And are they knowledgeable? So to begin this evening, we have 2 mayoral candidates in front of us. We have William Bud Starker for mayor, who wants to be called Bud, and I'll be calling him Bud, and Joseph DeMott, and I will be calling him Joseph. Thank you very much. First of all, I would ask you to introduce yourself, tell us how long you've lived in the city of Wheat Ridge, and your qualifications and reason for running for mayor. Bud, you can go first.
Thank you very much, and I would like to extend a thank you to the League of Women Voters of Jefferson County and to the City of Wheat Ridge for sponsoring this forum. And I'd like to thank the citizens in the audience and the citizens at home and online for watching this. My name is Bud Starker, and I'm a candidate for mayor in the City of Wheat Ridge. I moved to Wheat Ridge in 1975 with 12 chickens, a goose and a gander, 1 goat and a dog. I was attracted by the open spaces, mountain views, and small town feel of our community on the edge of a large city, close, but a world away. I still live in the same house with my wife, Mary. We raised 2 fine sons in this community, boys who rode their bikes on our streets, played in our parks, and attended our public schools. We invested in our community, took an old property and built a restaurant in eastern Wheat Ridge, which provide good jobs, city taxes, and a gathering place for neighbors. I'm active in local public service. I served on the Building Code Advisory Council and 1 term in Wheat Ridge City Council. My roots in this city go deep. After I graduated from college, I worked with my hands as a carpenter, satisfying work. I advanced to owning my own construction company, building many projects along the Front Range, some here in Wheat Ridge. I'm a leader in my professional life, my church life, my business life, and my civic life. Wheat Ridge is on the edge of an exciting new chapter as a city, which will pose many new challenges. As your mayor, I will listen to the voices of our community and lead a discussion based upon respect and collaboration. Use my leadership skills to promote open economic opportunities for existing and new businesses. Value the small town character of our city and work for its preservation. Continue to hold the safety and well-being of our citizens in the highest regard. Thank you.
Thank you, Bud. Joseph, I would ask you the same question. Please introduce yourself. Tell us how long you've lived in the city, what your qualifications are, and why you want to be mayor.
Thank you very much. I want to also thank the League of Women Voters. I know these forums are a lot of work and a lot of follow-up to get everyone together. I've been on that side of the microphone several times. I can tell you it's a little less nerve-wracking over there. My name is Joseph DeMott. People still call me Joey. I take it as a compliment. I am passionate about my family, and like all of you that took the time to come here and watch on TV, also are passionate about our community and love that being a Wheat Ridge citizen has meant that we are truly part of a community. I'm a father of 2 elementary school-aged children, and I've been married for 15 years. I was writing this down today, and I couldn't believe it's been 15 years. I'm a lifelong Wheat Ridge resident, a Wheat Ridge High School graduate, and a small business owner, and I know very well the ebbs and flows of this city. My family has followed along with these changes for nearly 54 years at our restaurant, Pietro's Pizza, and this community has served us well as we strive to serve them. I want to be your next mayor to ensure that future generations are afforded the chance to be a part of a wonderful community that has always been Wheat Ridge. I am intrigued by and fully understand the mayor's duties and will follow the city charter and represent Wheat Ridge and its citizens as you deserve to be, with utmost respect and an understanding of the challenges we face, as well as changes that must be made in our immediate future. Along with my time on city council, I've spent hundreds, if not thousands, of volunteer hours on many boards that directly benefit Wheat Ridge. My experience on these boards, as well as the interaction with many of this city's great volunteers, ensure that I will run quality, efficient city council meetings with the highest level of transparency and accountability, following accepted parliamentary procedures and adhere to Colorado open meetings laws. As your mayor, I will guide fiscally responsible budget concepts by allowing voices to be heard concerning smart and fair economic development. And I will finish later. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. For your first question, and Joey, you can go for this question also. What is your long-term goal and vision for the city?
Well,
Hello? I think my vision for the city stems from my life being here and growing up. I think we all want to support local businesses and attract new businesses. We all want to respect property rights of our neighbors and success or failure that the free market provides, while holding property owners to a standard that represents the market and heritage of our unique city. Part of my vision as I took care of my own properties after this hailstorm that we had this year spoke to my experience on the Wheat Ridge Business District. I envisioned and proposed what we call the Facade Plus program, which is an expansion of our grant programs that we've been working on for nearly 15 years. I was happy that they received it with great understanding, and if you have any questions, I'd love to answer those later, and we have several board members in the room that would also. I believe that these kinds of programs should continue to remain available for all kinds of property owners and should be examined whenever the topic of improving our city come up.
Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you.
Bud, will you answer that question? What is your long-term goal and vision for the city of Wheat Ridge?
my goals for this city are really threefold. One is to have a robust and strong economic growth and promote the financial stability of this community. We need to work on our retail sales and retail tax programs that work in this city. That's our main source of revenue. We need to do some job creation in this city. I think if we were able to increase our sales and retail opportunities, that we'll be able to keep our property tax payments down. I would also be in favor of promoting light manufacturing, particularly out at our Gold Line, the new light rail line that's coming in. We have some recreation industry that's out there now, and I think we have a great opportunity to promote recreation industry in our community that will provide jobs for our children and provide ongoing employment. I would also like to honor the rural roots and small town feel of our community. We have a great small town ethic, and that's very important. And I want to work to continue that we secure our safe and secure neighborhoods in our community. I advocate the Neighborhood Watch program. I think we need greater interaction in between our seniors and our young people so that we have intergenerational activity. I think we need greater communications and more opportunities to communicate with the police. Thank you.
Thank you. Bud, for question number 2, how would you encourage affordable housing in the city's growth plan?
I think affordable housing is, we have some affordable housing in our community now, and I think we need to continue to foster affordable housing. And you really do that by making strong communities and strong neighborhoods. There's a variety of housing stock in our community, which is good. I mean, I believe in the diversity of our community. Affordable housing, is not really a function of government. I think you encourage good development that brings affordability to your community. I'm not really a proponent of government subsidized housing. I think there are other alternatives in the free market that will bring affordable housing to us. We have a number of districts and neighborhoods in our community that is looking at aging housing stock. I think we can make incentives that create possibilities for homeowners to upgrade their facilities, that continues to keep them affordable, but also strengthens our neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you, Bud. Joseph, how would you encourage affordable housing in the city's growth plan?
Well, I think in Wheat Ridge we have a very diverse population, and we all want and need different things. No group is more important than others. We have different housing requirements, different desires in the products we need and want. This is especially true with the new citizens in our growing state. I think as a government, we need to keep all citizens and businesses in mind and avoid allowing ourselves to pick winners and over-incentivize some programs. I believe we need to also facilitate the reconnection between our citizens, our businesses, and our schools, and help strengthen the local schools to make all kinds of housing more desirable in the city.
Thank you, Joseph. Question 3, Joseph, what are your ideas to better utilize city business districts?
If you're speaking districts as zoning, I think we've done a lot of things in the mixed use zoning. Opened up a lot of doors for new business. I'm a firm believer that rooftops bring retail. I've had plenty of arguments to the opposite. It does come down to demographics. I think if we want new businesses, we need to supply them with new customers. The focus of my vision for Wheat Ridge is on housing for all ages and wages to attract those desired demographics, to appeal to new business and introduce new residents to the city of Wheat Ridge to the businesses that make Wheat Ridge so great.
Thank you, Joseph. Bud, can you answer that question? What are your ideas to better utilize the city's business districts?
I would I'm a firm believer in businesses helping one another, helping themselves, and helping our community. I think we have a great opportunity, and I would start my term as mayor with a business roundtable where we bring businesses together. We first start listening to their ideas and listening to what challenges they face so that we have a clear understanding of what they're doing. Secondly, I would try to translate those ideas into some programs. I was thinking the other day that, we have a build-up program, and my opponent has been a promoter of that, and I appreciate that, and I think that's good work. I would like to expand that program to think not only just the physical aspects of the buildings that they occupy. I think it's great to have programs to help them upgrade that building stock, but I think we also could look at operations. I think it might be a good idea to reach out to the community. Perhaps we send postcards to the community members in the districts where the businesses are located and saying, listen, let's see if we can shop local and buy local. And if we're able to do that, to let people in the community know what businesses and what commercial opportunities are available to them, I think that will go a long way to having people shop in their own communities. That will lead to stronger businesses and ultimately stronger neighborhoods and a stronger community. Thank you.
Thank you. Question for Bud. Has the financing for your campaign for mayor come primarily from within your district or outside of it?
I've reached out and have been very fortunate to have a variety of financing people that have stepped up to support me. I've been a contractor in the Denver metropolitan area for 35, almost 40 years. I have received, I know a wide number of people in our community, both within our community and in the larger Denver metropolitan area. I feel really pleased that I've had a great deal of local support, both in financing and in citizens that are working, that are out there knocking on doors and helping us in the campaign, helping writing and doing all sorts of work for us. And I'm really buoyed with that. Thank you.
So you have accepted some outside of the city
Yes, ma'am, I
campaign
have.
money? Joseph, has the financing for your campaign for mayor come primarily from within your district, from within your city area, or outside of it?
I really have a local group of citizens to thank for supporting me. We've had campaign kickoff parties and things like that where donations were made and connections were made, and so my funding has come from individual donors from inside Wheat Ridge. October 20th, we'll have our reporting period, and it'll all be on there.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you, Joseph. Question 5. Joseph, do you believe the infrastructure for the city of Wheat Ridge is sufficient? And if you believe it is not sufficient, what actions would you take to make an improvement?
I think with, the way our state is growing, I think you could ask this question in any city, and there would be deficiencies everywhere. I think we need to definitely have a conversation to lay the groundwork for some streamlined processes, licensing and permitting for businesses. We need to have seminars and open houses with building, planning departments, citizens, business owners, property owners, and also our Wheat Ridge Business Association, our Chamber of Commerce. That's where we'll really learn where our deficiencies lie. But bringing those people together and really finding where we're gonna need those is key.
Thank you, Joseph. Bud, do you believe the infrastructure for the city of Wheat Ridge is sufficient? And if you don't believe that, what actions would you take to make an improvement?
I believe that our city, much like every city in the state of Colorado, is challenged with their infrastructure. Infrastructure is so expensive to build. It takes so long to get a project going and underway. They deteriorate, just by being used, and it's hard to keep up with your infrastructure. I would look for a variety of ways to enhance our infrastructure. We need to be doing a good job with the metro-wide area, and whatever we're able to accomplish at the state legislature to advocate for our community for infrastructure dollars that would go on to other duties and other opportunities. That as mayor, you can find other dollars that are available to spend on your community and keep your infrastructure up to date. We need to, if we are able to incentivize and increase our tax base, then we will be able to provide more dollars for infrastructure funding, and that would go a long way to helping us out.
Thank you very much. That completes our questions for the mayoral candidates. Bud and Joseph, you will each have 1 minute for a closing statement. Joseph, you will go first.
Thank you. I want to close tonight by again thanking everyone, especially my opponent, Mr. Starker, for this opportunity. You know, there's no shortage of passion in Wheat Ridge. Passion for our homes, our businesses, our children's, and our schools. You'll see with the group you have here and some of the candidates in city council races that there's also no shortage of passion for our politics. It's all part of what makes us truly unique and a beautiful place to live and grow. You know, we're not a team, even on council as a mayor. You're not a team of 8 or 9 people. You're not a team of a couple hundred public works, parks, engineers, police, staff members. We're a team of 30,000 people. It's a lot of people with a lot of voices, a lot of perspectives, and a lot of different visions. But it's still a small enough city that all of our voices can matter. With my willingness to listen and my experience and even fight when necessary, we can attain many of these goals. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Bud. Thank you very much, Joseph. Bud, will you give us a closing statement?
I'm happy to, and I'd like to begin by thanking again the League of Women Voters, the City of Wheat Ridge, and all of the citizens here in the audience and watching at home and online. Wheat Ridge is on the edge of an exciting and new chapter as a city, one which will pose new challenges and provide new opportunities. We have not always embraced change, and have sometimes seen opportunities pass us by. But our will has now stiffened. Our outlook has brightened. As your mayor, we have desired our signal to move forward and invest in our future. As your mayor, I dedicate myself and will hold your trust paramount as we work together to build economic growth and financial stability, preserve the small town feel of our community, ensure the safety and security of our citizens, and create an atmosphere of respect and collaboration for all. I ask for your vote because we can build Wheat Ridge together. Thank you.
Thank you, Bud. I would like to thank both of our mayoral candidates for being here this evening. It takes a lot of hard work, a lot of time, and a lot of courage to run for a political office, especially in the city of Wheat Ridge, because everybody here shows that they really care, or else they wouldn't be here. It's a wonderful show, and I love this city for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your being here. Next, we will have our city council candidates from the various districts, and I would like for you to line up according to your district, starting at the head of the table with District 1 and going on down to District 4, please. Yes.
What's that?
It's musical chairs trying to get everybody lined up according to their districts. This evening, we're very lucky to have wonderful candidates running for city council from their district. Janice Hope is running. Am I saying that correctly, Janice?
Hoppy.
Hop. Janice Hop, District 1. Rachel Hulton, District 2. Zach Urban, District 2. Tim Fitzgerald, District 3. Leah Dozman, District 4. Andrew Rasmussen, District 4. Virginia Ruth Baranowski, District 4. And Valerie Nosler Beck, District 4. Did I say everybody's name correctly? And does anybody want to have a nickname or anything that they need to have? It's like Bud did? Okay, great. Yeah, I know, she told me that. Thank you. I want to welcome you all tonight, and it just shows how interested you are in making Wheat Ridge a great city. I would like to ask for an opening statement from each of you, and you will be given 2 minutes for this opening statement, and I will start with Janice.
Good evening. Thank you to the League of Women Voters, the citizens, and the City of Wheat Ridge. My name is Janice Hoppy. I'm the current District 1 City Councilor, along with Ms. Monica Duran. I was appointed to my seat in 2015. I have served for 2 years. I was appointed when the City Treasurer moved, when Jerry DiTullio moved to the City Treasury. I've been a part of the Wheat Ridge Business District Board since 2012. I was a part of Local Works on the board as the president, the vice president, the treasurer, and the construction committee from 2011 to 2015. I'm also on the Family Tree Development Committee, and I'm a member of the Ridge at 38 Committee. I volunteer at Prospect Valley for my young ones, and I'm the treasurer for the Wheat Ridge High School POMS team for my old ones. I'm the owner of 2 small businesses, one in HVAC and one in electrical. I own the property on 7014 to 7020 West 38th Avenue, the Compass Construction Building. We remodeled that building from a half roof to a no facade and mushrooms growing on the inside to the beautiful building that it is now. I have 3 girls, 2 in high school, 1 in elementary. I have construction management background, a business management background, hospitality, at-risk youth, and outreach case manager background. I attempt to address every city council meeting with an open mind and an open heart. I do not agree all the time with everyone, and I try to do my best to be an agreeable disagreeer. I try very hard to be direct and to the point. I feel as though I work really hard to find win-win solutions when we are in situations where we don't feel like we can get along. I also wear my small business owner hat along with my resident hat. I enjoy very much the large amount of small businesses we have in Wheat Ridge and want them to also have a seat at the table. I'm honored to be your District 1 representative for 4 more years. Thank you.
Thank you, Janice. Rachel, can you give us a 2-minute introduction, please?
Yes, of course, thank you. Like many people before me tonight, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for stepping up and hosting this evening. And I'd also like to thank all the citizens of Wheat Ridge, but especially those that have taken the time to connect with me since I've moved here to help me understand more about my community. And it's been through those conversations that I've really been inspired to step up and keep Wheat Ridge wonderful. When I moved here, I realized this was a really special place. And it's special because it's built on the vision and aspiration of our founding families to create something that wasn't like anywhere else in the metropolitan area. And we're 50 years almost into our city's history, and we're at a pivotal point where we really need to keep it special. And to do that, we have to be really clear about what are those things that makes Wheat Ridge unique, and preserve those, protect those, and fight for those. But we can do that while still embracing new opportunities, bringing in new citizens and residents, and really build on 50 years for the next 50 years. Excuse me. I have a background in real estate and real estate development, so I understand the decisions that go into both where you're going to live and where you're going to open your business. I understand the risks that private developers take, and I understand the decision-making process that civic institutions go through. It's complicated, it's messy, and I think, I'm gonna look out here, I think most people understand it's possibly even messier in Wheat Ridge than anywhere else. So I embrace that messiness, and I have a proven history of bringing people together that don't necessarily agree but share similar values about Wheat Ridge being a great place to live, play, work, and enjoy the next 50 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel, and I understand I mispronounced your last name too. It's Hultin, right?
It's Hultin, yeah.
Hultin, okay. Close. Zach, can you please give us an introduction and tell us why you're running for city council and what your qualifications are?
Thank you to the League of Women Voters for this opportunity. I would like to take this opportunity to share with the residents of Wheat Ridge District 2 why you should vote for me. Base your vote for me on the fact that I have been in the ring for every city council meeting except for one, rather than on whose rings I have kissed or not. Base your vote for me on the fact that I have been a fully engaged city councilor while putting my responsibilities as a father and a husband first. Base your vote for me on my actions to educate Wheat Ridge drivers, making our city streets safer for our children through my Drive Like Our Kids Live Here campaign. Base your vote for me on the fact that I have championed Wheat Ridge as the base camp of the Rocky Mountains, a moniker now used by the city of Wheat Ridge for the Gold Line Station. Base your vote for me on my ability to get things done for the residents of District 2 rather than on carrying water for special interests. Base your vote for me on my actions to call to task city contractors who have had to rip up and replace poorly installed ADA ramps and sidewalks, making sure we as taxpayers are getting what we paid for, rather than basing your vote on how much time I've spent listening to paid bicycle and pedestrian advocates. Base your vote for me on the fact that I have failed to get the 38th Avenue question on the ballot. Vote for me instead, because I've at least tried to give you, the people, the opportunity to vote on this issue once and for all. Don't base your vote for me on my less than stellar attendance record at parties and other local work sponsored events. Vote for me because I have instead represented you by voting on more ordinances and resolutions as a city council member. Don't base your vote for me on whether or not I have a monthly column in the Neighborhood Gazette. Vote for me despite those who have tried unsuccessfully to stifle my voice in the Gazette. I have always had a voice in our community. I humbly ask you to allow your vote to join with my voice as your Wheat Ridge City Council member. Thank you.
Thank you, Zach. We will now hear from Tim Fitzgerald from District 3. Tim, will you please give us your background, tell us a little bit about you and why you are running for your district office?
Thank you very much. I moved to Wheat Ridge in, believe it or not, 1945. And after the war with my family, grew up here, went to school here. I was in the very first graduating class from the new Wheat Ridge High School on 32nd Avenue. I say the first graduating class that went a whole year there. I should say that because there are going to be some people that argue with that. So I've lived other places in the meantime, quite a few other places actually. I was in the Air Force. Later, I owned my own business, and now, thankfully, I'm retired. I sit on the Housing Authority. I sit on the Wheat Ridge Business District. I volunteer in a homeless program, and I have, although I'm not doing so currently, but I have tutored at a halfway house. When I ran the first time, I noticed that all the cities around us were growing and changing more rapidly than we were. Wheat Ridge looked essentially the same as it had done 20 years earlier. In the meantime, all cities around us had substantially spruced themselves up. So I ran on the platform that I was going to try and help the city get moving. And I'm thankful to say we have a lot of things that have come forward in that last 4 years. I don't take personal credit for that because it's a team effort. We have wonderful city staff. We have a wonderful association with Local Works and the many citizen volunteers there. And we've been able to attract many new businesses and developments, resulting in many opportunities in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tim. I forgot to remind everybody to push the button in the middle of the microphone to turn it on, so I'm hoping that everybody already knows this. Leah, I would ask you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you and why you are running for your District 4 representative.
Thank you. I would also like to join my cohorts and all those that have thanked the League of Women Voters for putting this candidate forum on. I have also been on the other side of that microphone a couple times, and it is also not as intimidating. But I would like to ask thank the city for offering their space for us to do this in tonight, and for all of the citizens to come out and watch us and really become engaged, because really it's you that matters in this race. My name is Leah Dozman. I am running for City Council in District 4. I am a lifelong resident of Wheat Ridge, and I am proud to be raising my 2 sons in my childhood home. I attended Fruitdale Preschool, Pennington Elementary, and Everett Middle School, and then continued on to Lakewood High School for their IB program. I graduated cum laude from the Metropolitan State College, or State University of Denver. It became a university the year before I graduated, with a bachelor's degree in political science and an associate's in entrepreneurial studies. I have recently joined the team at Personal Achievement Martial Arts, where my son and I do martial arts, and I do kickboxing as their program director. It's really helped me understand what it takes to run a small business, and they collaborate with local schools. I have served as the executive secretary and the parade chair for the Carnation Festival Board. I helped organize the annual Carnation Parade, and I took that over after Steve Keller had been doing so for 12 years. I am the vice president of the PTA and the accountability chair at Pennington Elementary, which I successfully rallied the community to prevent our school from closing this last February. I am a member of the Wheat Ridge Historical Society and the Grange, and I also was a participant and a mentor within the Wheaties Academy, an organization, it's a grassroots organization offered by Local Works. I've gained so much from this city in my lifelong residency, and I will finish later. Thank you.
Thank you, Leah. Andrew Rasmussen, would you give us your introduction? Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you would like to be your district representative.
Hello and good evening. My name is Andy Rasmussen, and I'm running for City Council in District 4. First of all, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters and the city for organizing this event tonight and giving us all this chance to engage the voters in such an important election. I would also like to thank the many hundreds of voters in my neighborhood that I've come to know over the course of that campaign. It has been a true pleasure to come to know you and to hear your thoughts and concerns about the state of Wheat Ridge. I started this campaign because I've been passionate about politics my entire life. And for the last, 20 years, it's been more of a source of frustration than inspiration. About a year ago, I decided that the time had come for me to stand up and do what I can to help. My parents are retired school teachers in Wisconsin. They always talked about politics at home, and I continue to do so at home with my wife of 14 years and my 8-year-old daughter. I went to Northwestern University in Chicago, and I received a bachelor's degree in civil engineering in 1999. Right after graduation, I moved to Colorado, where I already had a job as a field engineer on a CDOT project. I quickly realized that my passion for building things would only be satisfied by doing it with my hands, and I've been working in the trades ever since. I'm now proud to be a journeyman electrician working for Namaste Solar. I'm also proud to have been selected as a member of the Wheat Ridge Environmental Sustainability Committee. I believe that we are doing important work that will help our city become greener, healthier, and more economical for home and business owners. My campaign is based on 4 core values. These are build community, grow local business, enhance quality of life, and strengthen the economy through sustainability. Thank you to all who came out tonight and to all who are watching at home. I look forward to working with you all to help move Wheat Ridge forward, win or lose. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Virginia, another District 4 candidate. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience and why you want to be your district representative?
I forgot to say, you can actually just call me Ruth. That's
Call you what? Ruth?
Ruth.
Okay,
Yes.
I'll call you Ruth.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's okay. I'm Ruth Baranowski, and I moved here 7 years ago after having lived in 7 different states and 10 different cities over the course of my life. And when I moved to Wheat Ridge, I found a place that I truly do call home. And over the course of my years here, I've gotten more involved in my community. I've been a participant in a Wheaties Academy thing. It was called Connect to Creek, and I painted a mural. And starting there, I learned about what the city offered, and I took advantage of what the city offered, and I feel that I was able to connect with people I may have never met if I hadn't. And that led me to go and volunteer to chair the DIRT Task Force in 2016, where I learned about the nuts and bolts of the city. Doing that led me to participate and become a member of the Carnation Festival. And through that, I feel that I've learned so much about my community and what we truly face when it comes to infrastructure, when it comes to sustainability, when it comes to moving ourselves forward. And I knew that I needed to give back from a community that has given so much to me and my family, that I decided this is why I need to run. I need to run so that I can be the voice for my neighbors, so that I can represent people who have trouble getting to city council, getting a hold of their representatives. And this is why I'm running, so that I can get out there, show people that this is not an intimidating process, although being on this side of the microphone, it is a little intimidating. But this is connecting with people. That is why I'm running.
Thank you very much, Ruth. Valerie, you're last but not least. Thank you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your qualifications, and why you want to be your district representative.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Thank you to the City of Wheat Ridge and the League of Women Voters for hosting this evening's forum. Also, a thank you to all the candidates stepping up for our community. My husband Sam and I bought our house that backs up to Anderson Park 3 years ago, and are raising our 3-year-old and our 1-year-old girls in our home. I currently work for the Colorado Department of Local Affairs as the Resiliency, Community Engagement, and Outreach Manager. I have spent my favorite part of my career helping Colorado build resilient communities. I am running for City Council District 4 because I have helped other communities thrive, and I want to bring my knowledge, leadership, and fresh perspective to my hometown. I am running in District 4. I am the candidate running in District 4 that has the skill set to bring together state agencies, special districts, neighboring communities, residents, and business to solve problems to get effective, efficient results for Wheat Ridge. I will work hard to make our neighborhoods more welcoming and safe. Wheat Ridge neighborhood streets are used as cut-throughs to avoid congested main roads. I want to work with neighborhoods in the 4th District on low-cost, creative infrastructure upgrades to help keep walkers and bikers of all ages safe so they can access our parks and schools and public transportation. Now is the time to work with neighboring communities and regional partners to address needs for residents in our community impacted by or experiencing homelessness. I will be a voice on council pushing this good work forward. In District 4, businesses are located near Clear Creek Trail, I-70, great restaurants, shopping, and soon, light rail. Let's build on the great work that has been done and grow our sales tax revenue by promoting Wheat Ridge businesses and entice new business to move here. Wheat Ridge City Council needs to be more transparent, less divisive, and more accessible to all residents. Wheat Ridge City Council needs members like me that are willing to compromise, bring fresh ideas, make tough decisions, and find effective solutions. Thanks again. I look forward to the rest of tonight's discussion. And thanks for everybody for jumping into this race. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. We'll go on to the questions now. Each candidate will have 1.5 minutes for your response. Here's the first question. Wheat Ridge is on a growth curve. How will you respond to that while protecting the city's quality of life and stimulating economic development? Tim, you'll go first, then Andrew.
Okay, well, thankfully we are seeing a lot of very beneficial growth, and we have more on the books coming. We're going to see a new upscale restaurant at the shopping center at 32nd and Youngsfield. We have many opportunities. Clear Creek Crossing is underway, although you can't see anything yet, and it's going to take quite a while to get through that. But we're hoping to get some high quality shopping and eating at that place. And when I talk to people in District 3, that's what they want. They want better eating, better shopping, more attractive community. And that's part of our opportunity. Say the question again, please.
Yes, Wheat Ridge is on a growth curve, so would you respond to that while protecting the city's quality of life?
Okay, very good. Thank you. We need to compete with other cities to attract new business, and that requires incentives and aggression on our part to go and actually look for new businesses, the kind of business that we want. That's the same thing other cities do. We haven't done it in the past, and we need to continue doing that. And it is time for me to stop. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim. Andrew, do you want me to repeat that question for you? Wheat Ridge is on a growth curve. How will you respond to that while protecting the city's quality of life and stimulating economic development?
Thank you. Part of what brought me to Wheat Ridge is the old agricultural feel of it. My house sits on a 1/4 acre, and we have chickens and a rabbit in the backyard. I love that about Wheat Ridge. We have horses and llamas in our neighborhood. I don't want that to change. I know that Wheat Ridge is going to grow, but I would like to follow what the city's current comprehensive plan lays out and see development along the major corridors, the major commercial corridors, but leaving our city streets alone. I believe we have good restrictions in place already as well regarding restrictions on residential redevelopment in terms of preventing the giant cubicle boxes that we see coming up in Northwest Denver. I would like to expand on that and make sure that the heritage of our residential neighborhood stays intact while developing the major commercial corridors as the comp plan calls for. Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Valerie, can you answer that question, or you want me to repeat it also?
Could you just repeat it for me one more
Sure.
time so I can
I
think
think
a
I'll
little bit
repeat
more?
it again for everybody. Wheat Ridge is on a growth curve. How will you respond to that while protecting the city's quality of life and stimulating economic development?
I agree with Andy and what he said about the fact that Wheat Ridge has this rich history that is based on our agricultural roots. This was a farm town. My family settled 45th and Wadsworth in 1890 and grew celery there. And it was a land of opportunity then, and I think there's another chance for us here to be another land of opportunity. There's great examples of this happening right now. The Fruitdale School, a perfect example of a public-private partnership that's happening, that's keeping hold of what makes our town so great, while also making it a really dynamic housing development that's on the 44th corridor, that is in the 4th district, that I'm really excited about. We have great markets and restaurants all along the 44th corridor and the light rail coming into town. I think it's important for us to use all of the different businesses that we already have in place to entice more business to come to Wheat Ridge and make sure that they realize that this is a great place to do business.
Thank you, Valerie. Leah, Wheat Ridge is on a growth curve. How will you respond to that while protecting the city's quality of life and stimulating economic development?
So I find it interesting that although we are on a growth curve, that we have been discussing school closures, and we have seen school closures within our community in the last decade. We saw Martinson Elementary School close in 2011. We saw the Wheat Ridge Middle School close and become a Wheat Ridge 5 through 8, and now it has closed its doors as well. And the school that I went to as a child, Pennington Elementary, and the school that my son goes to now was put on a closure list this last February. It's pretty devastating to our community that although we are seeing growth, we are not seeing young families move into the area. I would really appreciate really strengthening our schools and collaborating with local businesses and organizations to bring hands-on, trade-skilled learning into our classrooms, and also really attract businesses that then attract young families to move here. It's pretty much a given fact that parents look for quality schools when they're looking to buy homes. And so if we don't have quality schools, then we don't attract young families. And I lived on a block, a cul-de-sac, right up the block from the Greenbelt with many friends. We would bike and walk along the Greenbelt, and I had a great quality of life, and I want to ensure that for my children. Thank you.
Thank you, Leah. Ruth, can you give us an answer to what you think about this growth curve, and how would you respond to that while protecting the city's quality of life and still stimulating economic development?
So, like many other people, I moved here because of the rural feel. And I believe that as we grow, as we are continuing to grow, the more we focus on what makes us great, our community, the better we are able to see the future. Just like my opponent Leah said, the stronger our community schools are, the stronger we have our neighborhoods. The stronger our neighborhoods, the more families will move in. And families are what obviously grow and make up this town. This town is based on so many families for generations, and if we continue to focus on that, but also continuing to focus on what makes us a city with agricultural roots. We don't have farmland anymore, but we have that as a history. But we can accept that and embrace that as we look for new ways to handle our drainage issues. And if everyone has seen all the rain we've had over the past days, we know we have drainage issues in areas, but we can still embrace those fixes by looking at new ways to embrace some of the agriculture. If it's more plantings on the side of the road to help with drainage and to keep us sustainable, then that's what we have to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ruth. Janice, so how would you address the growth curve, and how will you respond to that while protecting the city's quality of life and stimulating economic development?
Sure. Thank you. So stimulating economic development, there are a few things that we already have going on that are going really well. We've got Corners at Wheat Ridge, which is going to open mid-2018. It's got Lucky Market in it. We've got the Applewood Shopping Center as the new Starbucks, new King Soopers fueling station. Hacienda, Colorado is possibly coming, and they're actively working on infilling the empty Walmart space. We have the Clear Creek Crossing, which is going to have retail, residential, office, hospitality, and entertainment 2019. And thanks to the 2E that was passed by our voters, we're putting in $9.75 million on the hook ramps to get that project going. We have a mixed use coming on at West End 38th. It's got 8,000 square feet of retail and 160 units of residential. And we have some other smaller projects like Books and Brews, Bardo's Coffee, and then the Swiss Flower Shop is expanding. So how do we protect our way of life while we have all this development going on? I think part of it is that we need to make sure we have smart land use. When we have things such as self-storage units that come in and want to buy up some of our land, we have to make sure that we are using that our limited amount of land appropriately, and we have to proactively look at our code of laws and our zoning. So things like our bulk plane that we just put into place this year, and also the moratorium on the emergency ERs, which would not be a smart land use for Wheat Ridge either. So I think that we need to maintain looking at case by case how we are using our land. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Janice. Rachel, can you answer that question on Wheat Ridge is on a growth curve? How will you respond to that while protecting the city's quality of life and stimulating economic development?
Yes, thank you. And before I go any further, I'm going to take some of my 90 seconds to give permission to my son to go home after this. He's fidgeting over there. So this is a huge issue, and when I think about how we keep Wheat Ridge wonderful, Wheat Ridge has a rich history of local businesses that really are part of our community identity. So when I'm out and I'm connecting with different neighbors, different people, different business owners, what I keep hearing is this desire for authentic growth. And so protecting our neighborhoods can't just be magic. It's got to be around really specific and clear policies around what makes those neighborhoods special and what needs to be protected. At the same time, we have to recognize our opportunities to maximize the growth that is available to us right now. And that takes understanding our existing zoning, understanding the existing market, and really promoting and marketing Wheat Ridge as a brand. It's a destination both for people to live and to spend their money, and for businesses to relocate. Growth is also a regional issue, so understanding how regional growth is both benefiting Wheat Ridge, but also putting stress on our affordability and our transportation choices. So it's really balancing our unique role within the region, our unique role within neighborhoods, and then really focusing on our opportunities on commercial corridors, focusing as much as possible on local business growth.
Thank you, Rachel. Zach, you're not the least, but you're the last. Thank you very much. Wheat Ridge is on a growth curve. How will you respond to that while protecting the city's quality of life and stimulating economic development?
Well, since I'm the last, I'll kind of flip that around and suggest that our economic growth and our economic development within the city provides for our quality of life, given how our city is funded and how our city operates. In order to provide for police protection services and provide for city services in general, we must have a strong sales tax base. And as we look across the United States and see a dwindling of retail uses of commercial corridors because of operations like Amazon and the like, we as the city need to be mindful of how do we sort of look forward into the future as to what can the city do to prepare for the fact, and we've already seen this with the closure of Walmart and other retailers moving out of the city. How can we diversify our commercial corridors and encouraging both manufacturing in addition to smaller businesses and encouraging existing retailers to move to Wheat Ridge, but being mindful that we're seeing a contraction in that space, and given the fact that the city is predominantly funded by a sales tax, that is a concern as we go forward. And so as we look at how do we balance growth with the quality of life, I think it's important to take advantage of the opportunities along those transportation hubs at the Gold Line and the Clear Creek Crossing that are nearest our main transportation corridors, and use those as an opportunity to increase development in those areas while maintaining the existing quality of life in our residential neighborhoods and making sure that we're not impeding or encroaching on the expectations of our residents.
Thank you, Zach. For the second question, and I know that you all are probably saying, how long is this going to go on? I only have 5 questions, okay? For question number 2, how should Wheat Ridge encourage affordable housing in the city's growth plan? And Zach, you get to go first.
Thank you. Wheat Ridge should be focused both on affordable housing and attainable housing. We need to be mindful that we are in a metropolitan area, and as a commissioner for the Jefferson County Housing Authority, I've been focused on providing a balance of affordable housing across the entire Jefferson County available land to make sure that Wheat Ridge isn't the only stop for affordable housing, that we do have affordable housing across Jefferson County as a whole. But speaking to what we can do in Wheat Ridge, we need to focus on providing amnesty for existing accessory dwelling units that are already in existence, but because of code restrictions and otherwise can't be considered as an accessory dwelling unit at the present time, but also making sure that we're not densely packing R1 neighborhoods and making sure we find a good balance and a smart approach to this accessory dwelling unit concern. The issue of construction defects continues to be a problem, and although the state legislature has definitely taken great strides in resolving that, that is continuing to be a problem that we need to address as it relates to affordable housing. And then just as it relates to our building department, we need to make sure that our building department is the most customer friendly in the Denver metro area, and at the present time, from what I've heard, we have a long way to go for that. So I want to make sure that we continue to focus on how does our city as a government become more consumer friendly and be able to process those permits and whatnot as they come forward.
Thank you, Zach. Thank you. Rachel, how should Wheat Ridge encourage affordable housing in the city's growth plan?
Thank you. Well, when I think about affordable housing, I think that there's 2 different aspects to it. One is, how are there affordable housing options for people who are choosing to move here or who are changing the type of housing they need and want to stay within the city? And then the other aspect of keeping housing affordable is how do we ensure there's opportunities for people to stay in their own homes and keep that affordable. So those have two different responses. Keeping people in their homes and keeping that affordable really addresses looking at our most vulnerable citizens, oftentimes our seniors and people who are struggling with things in which their house needs to be updated so that they can stay in it. And I think Wheat Ridge can really be part of a bigger program around creating affordable opportunities to retrofit homes so people can stay in their home, and also figuring out ways to keep those retrofits from being part of larger requirements so that they only need to do the retrofits that are required for them to stay in their own homes, the most affordable option for them. When we're talking about how do we create and maintain affordable options for people coming to the city, I think we really need to maximize our development opportunities and diversify our housing so that we have a bigger suite of options for people to choose from. That will create market conditions that balance out a little bit more instead of just having primarily single-family homes as the housing option in the city.
Thank you, Rachel. Tim, how should Wheat Ridge encourage affordable housing in the city's growth plan?
Thank you. We've done quite a bit this last 4 years. Renewal Wheat Ridge just built 2 buildings at 44th and Wadsworth. Both of those buildings are restricted income buildings, and they were full on the very first day that they were opened, and there's now a 2-year waiting list. As a member of the Housing Authority, I also was involved in the Fruitdale School Project, which is a mixed income housing. Janice Thompson and I, from the Housing Authority, have just toured what Lakewood is doing, what Lakewood's Housing Authority is doing. And they had some property. They have a very successful development that we would like to see if we can do something like that. The problem we have is we have no funding right now, but we do have government powers. So we can use those to do what Lakewood did. We have a couple of dormant programs that are second mortgage support programs for improving and updating existing housing. And we have a dormant loan program that was copied by Arvada. Unfortunately, they're making it work and we're not. So we need to re-enliven that. It helps to support various income groups and gives more support to lower income and then graduated support as it goes on up. We need to continue that.
Thank you, Tim. Ruth, how should Wheat Ridge encourage affordable housing in the city's growth plan?
Thank you. I'm not an expert at this. I don't have the answers, and I won't pretend that I do have the answers for this question. But I do know that there are qualified people who have the answers, who would want to work with the city, and it again seems that we are not actively using these resources. And if you want attainable housing, if you want affordable housing, you have to leverage the programs you have without letting them go dormant. And for reasons that it's just an issue facing the entire state, we have to work together with our neighboring cities so that we're not just trying to be an island unto ourselves, that we're working together with other metro cities to tackle this issue. And we do have areas coming up for development in Clear Creek along the Gold Line that are ripe for this kind of development as long as our permitting process is easy, as long as we are welcoming and working with zoning projects in these areas. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ruth. Andrew, how should Wheat Ridge encourage affordable housing in the city's growth plan?
I'm going to agree with Ruth on this, that I'm also not an expert in affordable housing. I do know that in walking my neighborhoods, I have talked to a lot of people who are very concerned about affordable housing. Obviously, it's an issue all throughout the Front Range of Colorado, and like Zach says, there are some problems with state requirements on the construction defects law that sort of tie our hands in building, you know, multi-family dwellings right now. It's a problem statewide that we don't really have much authority over. But I look forward to working with, you know, the city of Lakewood, the city of Arvada, like Tim was talking about, and following the lead of our neighbors. Breckenridge has a fantastic program going right now for affordable housing. There are many examples out there of programs that we can do, and I would like to continue doing the good work that Tim says we're doing right now, and continue talking to my neighbors in the city and figuring out what we need to do, talking to construction companies and figuring out how we can smooth out the permitting process within the city, and working with all parties involved to try to figure out collaborative solutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Valerie, how should Wheat Ridge encourage affordable housing in the city's growth plan?
Thanks. Yeah, this is a major issue that I think every community all across the Front Range is facing. And I do have some experience with affordable housing and how things can go when they don't go right. I helped the governor's office and Department of Local Affairs helped communities like Lyons recover after the 2013 floods. When I did that, I realized that because affordable options in the community were not protected, people ended up not being able to stay in the communities that they loved and were their home. And so what I learned in all of that, and as I've been knocking doors and talking to people in the 4th District, a lot of the people that live along the creek actually are in danger of being in the floodplain or maybe in the floodplain. And that is a big issue for affordable housing. It's a big issue for what could potentially face them in their insurance rates. What I've been talking to people about is that I work at the Department of Local Affairs where the Division of Housing is housed. I know how to get access to some of these resources so that we can work more collaboratively and regionally on this issue. I also know how to translate a FEMA floodplain map. And I have promised folks in my district that if elected to city council, I'll help them translate that stuff. So thank you.
Thank you, Valerie. Leah, how would you encourage Wheat Ridge affordable housing in the city's growth plan?
Thank you. So as we know, the free market obviously controls the rents in the housing market at this point in time. So the demand within our community and all across the state is driving up rent and mortgages. I would encourage a private and public partnership, just like we have seen at the Fruitdale Lofts. They have allowed what they call for workers' housing, which is based off of the average median income of the area. So it's a really good project that was kind of built upon by the private developer because he understood that need. We are very fortunate in Wheat Ridge to have the Family Tree organization, which I know a lot of the Pennington families have received help from. We have a 92% free and reduced rate at Pennington, and so those families are definitely the ones that are needing that affordable housing and are concerned with rentals being out of their reach. So I think it's an issue that we need to work on collaboratively within our community because we don't want to run anybody out because we can't afford or they can't afford to live here. Thank you.
Thank you, Leah. Janice, you get the privilege of being last. Can you address the issue of Wheat Ridge's affordable housing and how would it be put into the city's growth plan?
Yeah, thank you. I think that one of the first things we need to do is finish the ADU conversation. I agree with Zach on that. You know, in ADUs, when you have well thought out zoning and regulation, not only do they help with affordable housing, but then they can also help with people aging in place. And then also they're kind of a long-term solution for environmental friendly because they're smaller and they use less resources. We also need to encourage our developers. We do have housing that's going into the Clear Creek Crossing, the West End 38th, and we have 2 housing opportunities coming up at the Wheat Ridge Gold Line. And so we need to encourage these developers to not only have things that are not necessarily affordable, like we don't want them to say, we want you to make just affordable housing, but diverse housing helps. So if instead of building a bunch of $1 million homes, we're building some townhomes, then that creates an area where we have people can move in when they're younger, and then that creates a move-up market into our community.
Thank you very much. On to question 3. And I will start with Valerie, and then Leah will be second. Valerie, what are your ideas to better utilize business districts?
So I'm glad that was a question that was asked a little bit earlier too, I think, so I'm gonna just go to my notes there. I think one of the things that we need to really focus on with our business districts, I think there's some great opportunities that are already in the works. I think on city council, we need to support staff that are working on some of these great projects, like the ones at the light rail, at the new Ward Station, and also with what's going on with the new Lucky's coming to town and things. But I think that how we can help bring business in is by improving our infrastructure and our intersections that are near all of these new business hubs. I think that that infrastructure will bring more people to visit. It won't be a frustrating experience. It will hopefully lift everybody up also along with the business district that is getting that funding and being developed. So I think that our infrastructure is something that needs to be improved in the community before we get too far ahead of ourselves with all of our business districts that we put into planning. So thank you.
Thank you, Valerie. Leah? What are your ideas to better utilize business districts?
So I have found, while talking to neighbors, that they are often confused as to why we have several business districts, why we have the Wheat Ridge Business Association, the Wheat Ridge Business District, and the Chamber of Commerce. They don't really understand what the difference is between the three of them, what they do differently. And I think that there could be better marketing done and collaboration with the groups. I also feel that we have had a hyper focus on 38th Avenue for several years, and it's been a very divisive issue that has not come to a resolution within our community, and it has been at the behest of the rest of our city. 44th Avenue businesses are not receiving the attention and the marketing that the 38th Avenue businesses have received. And while I frequent businesses on both main corridors within Wheat Ridge, I feel like we really need to spread out the love a little and just really try to encourage businesses to go through the facade improvement program and see what there is to offer. We have a small business, Swiss Flower Shop on 44th Avenue that is investing millions of dollars to grow, and I really want her to succeed, and she's been here for a long time, and so I would really like to highlight those businesses within the other parts of the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Leah. Ruth? What are your ideas to better utilize business districts?
So, my thing, I work from home. I own my own business. I don't technically need a business district for my business. But the thing I know about this is that you have to take care of your people before you can move on and try to encourage new businesses to come in. And to do that, we're going to have to fix our permitting process in our city for buildings, because most of these businesses that want to come in Wheat Ridge they have to go through a very long process to fix up their buildings. And if we're not taking care of our businesses in every business district, what are we doing? And to do that, it is to market the projects that we have in the city to help businesses fix their facades. To approach these businesses, we have to come together, different business associations, we have to work together, and that's pretty much how I think that we should do that to help benefit our different business districts. Yeah.
Thank you, Ruth. Andrew, what are your ideas to better utilize business districts?
This is for me, it goes to one of my core values of building community. I love going out and meeting my neighbors right now, but if elected to council, I look forward to getting out and meeting the business owners in the community as well. I've heard from a lot of a lot of homeowners like Leah has that they would like to see 44th Avenue, the main commercial corridor in our district, get a little bit more attention, as 38th Avenue has had a lot of sun shone on it in the last several years. I look forward to getting out and meeting the business owners on 44th Avenue and seeing what we can do to work together, getting the business owners together and figuring out ways that they can collaborate, maybe help each other out a little bit, and move forward together, building community, neighbors and businesses.
Thank you, Andrew. Janice, what are your ideas to better utilize business districts?
Thank you. First, I think that we need to support our already developed organizations like the Wheat Ridge Business Association, the Wheat Ridge Chamber, the Wheat Ridge Business District. We have the Ridge at 38 Business Committee. We have 44th Avenue, and then we've got the West 29th. We can help them in collaborating in their marketing efforts, and we can encourage and then help them to work towards grants to help with their business districts. And one particular one is that there is a creative district grant. And so any of these districts could apply for this creative district grant. This is something that like Rhino area has and the Santa Fe Art District has. There's monies out there to help these districts identify themselves. And so I think that as a city that we need to help encourage them. We need to keep our ear to the ground when those opportunities come up and through communication help them with that. And then we also need to maintain the programs that we are already doing through our business districts.
Thank you, Janice. Rachel, what are your ideas to better utilize business districts?
Well, I'm going to agree with a lot of what Janice said. We actually have a lot of really wonderful and distinct districts within our city. I've been hearing from a lot of people that they're excited to talk about the possibilities along 44th Avenue. So how do we cultivate more awareness and connection within our communities to existing buildings along that particular corridor, as well as our other districts? And Harlan is one of them that not very many people associate quickly with Wheat Ridge, but there's some great businesses in there. We've got 29th Avenue, but even Youngfield and 32nd is a business district. So working with the businesses within those districts to create distinct identities and really help brand and promote them so that we're connecting our residents with opportunities to spend their money locally with our local businesses. And then also those identities help attract other businesses when they're looking to start or relocate. I've run my own small business. I know it's really hard. And it's hard to ask small business owners to really spearhead those efforts. They're passionate and they want to contribute. But I think a lot of people at this table understand how limited their time is. So it's really an opportunity for our citizens and our city to come together and partner with our local businesses for success.
Thank you, Rachel. Zach, what are your ideas to better utilize business districts?
I'm thinking of this just a little bit differently. When you say business districts, I'm thinking about in the city of Wheat Ridge, we have approximately 16 different special districts with regard to sanitation districts, water districts, fire districts, what have you, and each one of those has a different mill levy and other ways to fund themselves. And when we talk about business districts, I'm thinking about those efforts that have been made on 38th to install a business district there. And each time a business district is considered, that does require the consent of the property owners in that district in order to establish that and then assess themselves to fund that district. And so as it relates to the establishment of business districts in that regard, I think we need to be mindful of the private property owners and how they want to move forward. I think we need to work on consolidating some of the other existing special districts that we have in our city because we do have such a patchwork of mill levies and other taxes that are sort of assessed in different parts of our city. And then as it relates to organizations like the Wheat Ridge Chamber of Commerce, the Wheat Ridge Business District, and other groups that support and promote businesses, I think we should do everything we can to leverage those connections and encourage small businesses to join in those efforts to make sure that they're connected to what's happening and encourage them to use the Facade Plus program and others that the city has supported so that we can encourage further growth of our small businesses.
Thank you, Zach. Tim, you get the final question. What are your ideas to better utilize business districts?
There really are two tracks to that question. We have informal business areas in the city, and we have some legal, or at least one legal business district. Council created a legal framework for the businesses on 38th to create a semi-government agency that is legally a business district. They would have some limited powers, and one of those powers would be to tax themselves and to create an essence for that business district. For example, some thematic essence as they saw fit. Up until now, we haven't been successful in getting them to actually complete the task. We need one more business to sign on, and then it can become a legal business district. The advantage to the city, if they do that, is that they will then begin to take ownership of 38th Avenue, and they can improve that area as they see fit. I see my time is waning here because this is a big subject. 44th Avenue feels like they're sort of left in the cold, so we need to pay some attention to 44th Avenue. 29th Avenue, we're doing some improvement work there to help that area develop. We have a long way to go in improving our business districts.
Thank you, Tim. For question number 4, Rachel, you'll go first for this question, and Zach, you'll be second. Has the financing for your campaign primarily come from within your district or outside of it?
Thank you. So the financing for my campaign is almost entirely from within Wheat Ridge. I did seek out and was awarded an endorsement from the Denver Metro Realtors. And so with that comes a contribution to my campaign. And I have one friend from Denver who gave me $25 just because she likes me. But otherwise, all my contributions are from within the city and primarily from within my district. My campaign financing really has been driven by the large number of people within the community I've gotten to know, some through friendship, but a lot through service and a lot of the work that I've done within the community. A couple times tonight they've mentioned Wheaties Academy, which is a program that I started to take ideas into action from the ground up when I recognized we really needed to create a platform for new civic leaders to figure out how to get things done in the city by working together. So through that, we've graduated 32 people, and some of them are at this table, and a lot of them are in the audience. So I've done a lot of work and connected with a lot of people across the entire city, but overwhelming, my campaign financing is from within the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Zach. Can you tell us a little about your financing for your campaign and where you primarily received your funds?
Certainly. As it relates to the financing of my campaign, the campaign finance that I received has been both from residents and property owners in the city of Wheat Ridge. And when I say property owners, my parents do own a home in Wheat Ridge, and so they have provided me with a small donation. So outside of that donation, almost entirely residents of Wheat Ridge, or 100% residents of Wheat Ridge have funded my campaign.
Thank you very much, Zach. Tim, can you tell us a little bit how you financed your campaign and where your money came from? Was it within inside the district or outside of it?
This is going to be quick.
Okay.
Luckily for me, I'm unopposed, and so I have not solicited any money from anybody and have taken none. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tim. Leah, can you answer that question as to how you have financed your campaign and where, if that money has come from your district or outside of it?
The financing for my campaign has primarily been from Wheat Ridge residents and neighbors. There are some family members and friends that either grew up in Wheat Ridge or moved out of Wheat Ridge that have contributed to my campaign. There are also a few people that I've worked on the Carnation Festival board with that have financed my campaign, but they don't live in Wheat Ridge. I was also sought out and interviewed with the Denver Metro Association of Realtors, and they gave me their endorsement along with a contribution. Thank you.
Thank you, Leah. Ruth, can you answer that question for us as to where your campaign finance money came from and whether it was within the district or outside?
So I can answer that question. The majority of my donations have come from people who have lived in Wheat Ridge, but not necessarily my district. And I have received many donations from friends and family who do not live in the state, but they are just friends and family. I have not received any large outside donations from any other enterprise, yeah, that's not the right word at all, group, any outside group, but majority have been friends and family who have lived in Colorado, Wheat Ridge, and not really my district.
Thank you very much, Ruth. Andrew, can you tell us about your campaign finances and whether or not you were able to get your money from your district or outside of it?
My district, my campaign has been financed by people within and without the district. I got a donation from my parents, and I've also gotten a donation from a friend who lives just outside of Wheat Ridge in Applewood. I have also gotten donations from people within the district, and a few friends and neighbors within the district have used. I used my friend's truck and trailer for the Carnation Festival parade, which was a great time, and yeah, mostly within the district.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Valerie, can you answer that question as to where you've raised your campaign funds, whether within the district or outside the district?
I sure can. I've received contributions from neighbors and also from friends, so those were all within either my district or within Wheat Ridge. Also, with my family on both sides having been raised and grown up here in Wheat Ridge, everybody's really excited that I'm running, so I have a lot of contributions from family outside of Wheat Ridge, but their roots are from here. And then beyond that, I have worked for a lot of different people in different capacities. Most of the time working in public service for the state of Colorado, and so I have received some contributions from my former bosses and colleagues, and those are primarily all within at least Colorado. Some are over on the western slope. And then also I received an endorsement from Blue Flower, and they have contributed to my campaign as well.
Thank you, Valerie. Janice, can you talk to us a little bit about your campaign finance and how you raised funds, whether within your district or outside your district?
I can. I'm in the fortunate position where I'm running unopposed. And I hope that that means that I'm doing a great job and not that nobody cares in District 1, which we all know is not the truth. And so I have not raised any money or taken any donations.
Great, thank you. You know, campaign finance is a big issue, and the League of Women Voters has been really following this nationally and locally, so that's why this question. Thank you very much for those answers. Question 5, this will be your last question. Does the city have a pro-business environment, and what changes need to be made? Leah, you'll be first.
It depends on who you ask that question to. Some say that we are friendly, others say that we are one of the most difficult cities to work with. Our permitting process is pretty difficult to get through. You're not able to do most of it online. You have to come here in person during regular business hours. We have a lot of issues with inspections, and one inspector saying one thing and another saying a different thing. So we have had a lot of small businesses kind of be outspoken about it on Facebook and social media about some of their issues with the city and expanding their business, growing their business, or being required to do things to the city's vision as opposed to their vision for their business regarding wider sidewalks, various amenities that they wouldn't otherwise prepare for, which has really prevented them from meeting their timelines. We also need to, I think, have a uniform code, and I would expect our city to uphold themselves to that code, which I have kind of heard that that's not the case. So Thank you.
Thank you, Leah. Ruth, does the city have a pro-business environment, and what changes do you believe need to be made?
I don't think any city wants to be known as being anti-business, but, you know, I have talked to many neighbors, and it is not an easy process to get a permit, and it is not an easy process to go through the inspection. So if that is the norm from people interacting with you, telling you that your city is not easy to work with, then you have a disconnect, and you have to fix that disconnect before you can truly and honestly say that you are pro-business. Now, I personally am. I think everyone at this table is. It's just a matter of fixing the problem so that the city can have that ability to be more pro-business. And to do that, we have to fix a lot of issues in our permitting and our inspection process. Thank you.
Thank you, Virginia. Andrew, does the city have a pro-business environment, and what changes do you believe need to be made?
I think I agree with Leah that it would depend on who you ask. I think we would all agree that the permitting and inspection folks have been, shall we say, swimming upstream this year. But I have heard, I'm a co-owner of a contractor that does a fair amount of business in the city, and the people who deal with the permitting department have told me that our city should join the 21st century. We could definitely make some strides in bringing some things online, the permitting process. I believe some of that has been done through the hail storm swimming upstream. They've moved some things online there. I think that's something that can be expanded to throughout the building permitting process. Other than that, I mean, I know we have a very devoted city staff and city manager that work a lot of hours trying to bring businesses into the city, and I know that the city council does what it can to, you know, ensure that the property owners can do what they can to develop their properties. So there are things that we can do, but I think, you know, like any other city, Wheat Ridge does what it can to bring in businesses already and be business friendly. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Valerie, does the city have a pro-business environment, and what changes do you think need to be made?
I think the perception, at least to customers and consumers, is that, you know, Wheat Ridge is a great place to come for business. I think that people love some of the established restaurants and businesses that we have in our community. I think that there's a lot of improvements that can be made on the side of permitting and how we help support our businesses. I do think that there is a great opportunity on 44th Avenue, like a lot of us have discussed here, to begin to develop that region. I had talked to some staff here about what some of the big plans have been in the past and where we're headed on some of our business corridors. And I think one thing that we can do is go dust off some of these big ideas that we had maybe before the recession happened and see how we can follow through with some of those plans. I also think one thing that would be really great is if we as a council and as a city also take this opportunity as businesses are going through, like Swiss Family, or I said Swiss Family Robertson, Swiss Flower Shop, thank you, as they're going through their development. If we can do some PR to show that the businesses and the city are working together on these great projects, so that we can start to have a better perception that we are pro-business. Thank you.
Thank you, Valerie. Janice, does the city have a pro-business environment, and what changes need to be made?
I believe we do have a pro-business environment, and some of the things that we have been copied in other communities, such as our grant programs through the Wheat Ridge Business District, our loan programs through Local Works. It's a low-interest loan program for businesses. I do hear people say that our building permit department is nightmarish, but I would have to disagree with that. My husband and I, for 17 years, owned a construction company. We just recently closed it, or not, we sold it. And we worked in every community around us. And Wheat Ridge is by far the worst. Are there some updates we could make? Absolutely. But there are things where, yes, we do have a street design, we do have street design regulations. So yes, when you're tearing down a building and you're putting something up, just like the new Chase Bank on 38th Avenue, you do have to have a certain amount of sidewalk and a certain amount of greenery, and that's part of promoting growth in our community. I also think that we actually have a better customer service in Wheat Ridge than we do in larger departments like in Denver. So from my experience, I would say that we are doing pretty good. Could we do some upgrades and some updates? Absolutely.
Thank you, Janice. Zach, do you believe the city of Wheat Ridge has a pro-business environment? And what changes do you think need to be made?
Thank you. I do believe that we have the intention and the desire to be pro-business, and I think that the implementation of that desire and that intention has fallen flat in many different ways. And in the days and weeks following the hailstorm, I had the opportunity to meet many roofers that were in line out in front of City Hall as early as 5 a.m. to get a permit, and talking to them and their experiences gave me a lot of perspective on how is Wheat Ridge viewed within the business community as it relates to both our building department and overall city processes and how we interact with businesses, and there's a lot of great strides we could be making in improving and learning from other municipalities and other governments. The Jefferson County government does a much better job at their online permitting process than we can. I think we can improve upon that. And then as it relates to small businesses in Wheat Ridge, I think many times the government is taking this approach of we're here from the government and we're here to help, and that in many ways gets into a situation where you're actually hurting the businesses more than you're helping them, and we need to be mindful that small businesses don't have as deep a pocket as some of these larger businesses do, and we need to be more flexible in how we work with businesses, because that's where we get our sales tax base, that's where we get our revenue from as a city, and they are our customers just as much as our residents are, and we can do a lot better to be more pro-business here in the city of Wheat Ridge.
Thank you, Zach. Rachel? Does the city have a pro-business environment, and what changes need to be made?
I'm going to close the circle, and with what Leah said, I think it oftentimes depends on who you talk to. I've heard from local business owners that had fantastic experiences and have chosen to, expand or open another business because Wheat Ridge was such a great first experience for them. But I've also heard the other end of the spectrum, in which the experience working with the city really was discouraging and has cultivated sort of a lack of enthusiasm for reinvestment. So I think, like anything, the city as well as our local businesses constantly need to be looking at how they can improve themselves. And the city does a lot of things great and needs to improve in other areas. I don't actually work in the building department, but one of the things I've heard from several business owners I've talked to is there's a need for a little bit better communication and clarity at the beginning of the process, so that people who are making evaluations about whether to invest in a new business or expanding a current business, they understand exactly what to expect, and then a little bit more consistency throughout the process so there's fewer surprises. But what I hear overwhelmingly is that there's an excitement about the opportunity to run a business in Wheat Ridge, and I hear from residents that they're really excited to support existing businesses and new businesses. So I think it's a great environment, and we just need to cultivate it a little better.
Thank you, Rachel. Tim, can you give us your ideas as to whether this city has a pro-business environment, and what changes do you think need to be made?
Are we pro-business? The answer is yes, we are. Do we have challenges? Yes, we do. We have had a bad reputation in the past, and it's been the effort of everybody at the city to make our way out of that bad reputation. We've been bending over backwards to do everything we can to make ourselves easy to deal with. We have other challenges. We have a very small staff, so if you want to improve service, you have to hire a new person. If you have to hire a new person, it costs more money. So it's always a trade-off. And we've had other challenges. We've had more new building permits in the last 3 years than we had in the previous 20. and you can tell that roofing permits have been a problem for us. But we hired some outside people to work with us on that. We put the process online. We have greatly streamlined that process. So we're doing a really good job of trying to make ourselves better. But we are the first to admit we're not perfect, but we're doing what we can to be perfect. We also, as Janice mentioned, have many grants for businesses, and every time a new business opens in Wheat Ridge, the mayor and some of council members goes to welcome them to the city. So we're trying really hard to make it a business-friendly city.
Thank you very much, Tim. Candidates, you've made it through 5 questions, and I have to congratulate you. You did a wonderful job. I can see you all did your homework. I would like now to do a 1-minute closing for each of you, and I will give you a notice when you have 30 seconds left. We have some wonderful timekeepers here from the League of Women Voters, so they will work with us on this. Janice, can you please give us a 1-minute closing statement?
Thank you. Again, thank you to the League of Women Voters, and mostly thank you to the citizens who are engaged and active in our community. I am very happy to be serving you for another 4 years. I believe that we have some really exciting projects coming in line, especially with our Ward Road station that's coming up. And so I really look forward to working with the new team that comes about in November. Thank you.
Thank you, Janice. Rachel, you have 1 minute.
Thank you. And again, a final thanks to our hosts tonight, including the City and League of Women Voters. And I want to thank the timekeepers for keeping us on time. So I'm really excited about the next 50 years in Wheat Ridge because I'm really honored to be a part of our city's heritage. And when I think about serving our city, I think about 3 things. I think about people, places, and participation. And since I've moved to the city, I've worked tirelessly to create opportunities for more people to get involved. I've started several organizations and really promoted people to participate in their city. And the only way our city is going to be able to tackle the issues that are ahead of us and unknown is to really cultivate a city that encourages its citizens to engage with one another and with the city so that we can all make Wheat Ridge wonderful together. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. Zach, for 1-minute closing statement, please.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this, and want to thank Rachel Holteen as an opponent and as a fellow candidate for stepping up and running. And I've always said that everybody deserves an opponent, and I now have an opponent. And I just want to say that being able to step up and run for city council and being involved is a tremendous effort, and all the candidates that have shown up and put their hat in the ring deserve our respect and our applause because of their willingness to be so involved and so engaged in our community. And the residents of Wheat Ridge are very benefited by everybody up here that's able to take the time and effort to put into being prepared for tonight and being able to give our time to do these types of events. So as your city council member, I've enjoyed my time on city council, and I've enjoyed being a representative of our district, and I look forward to continuing to serve you as your representative. Thank you.
Thank you, Zach. Tim, you have 1-minute closing, please.
I want to say thank you, and I want to echo what Rachel said. Ann is fantastic at communicating to those paddles. She can talk very loudly with those paddles. If elected, I would like to keep working on making the city a better place to live, better curb appeal on our major roads. Traffic congestion is a problem we need to work with. Better walking. We need more sidewalks. We need more bike riding. We need to improve the appeal of our city to new businesses. And I hope to continue the work with other council members and staff members as we go through that process. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Leah, you have 1 minute for closing.
I would just like to reiterate all of the thanks for hosting the forum tonight. I know it's no small feat, so I just wanted to say that I am running for council because this community has made me who I am today, and I really want to give back to the community that I've gained so much from. I support small businesses and removing red tape and streamlining processes to be a catalyst for expansion and improvements. I also, and to increase sales tax revenue, I also support strong schools that collaborate with those businesses and attract young families to our neighborhood. I would like to have safe neighborhoods, which includes connecting neighbors with local law enforcement and addressing the crime issues in our community. Please reach out to me at Leah, which is the number 4, Wheatridge @gmail.com to discuss any concerns and hopes for our community. And I humbly ask you for you to vote Leah Dozman on November 7th. I'm a leader building bridges to bring our community together and build a better tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Leah. Andrew, you have 1 minute for a closing statement.
First, I'd like to thank my fellow candidates for participating tonight. It's really fantastic that we've got so many people up here who are impassioned and excited about serving the community. If I'm elected, I will continue to reach out to my neighbors and gather their input in as many ways as possible. So far, I have 2 methods that I will intend to use in order to do this. First is to hold regular meetings at varying venues on varying nights of the week to bring in as many different people as possible. I will use these meetings as a way to hear what the people think, what they're concerned about, and what they think about issues coming before the council. Second, I look forward to helping plan neighborhood block parties throughout the district to help our neighbors get to know one another. Please visit my campaign website, that's andyforwrd4.com, to learn more about me and my campaign. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for organizing the event and to the city for hosting it. Good night, everyone.
Thank you, Andrew. Ruth, 1 minute for a final closing statement.
I want to thank the League of Women Voters and the wonderful timekeepers for this opportunity to speak as a candidate. And I want to thank my wonderful opponents, because there are so many of them. And to be fair, actually, it's a little frustrating as a candidate, but it's wonderful as a community member to see so many people engaged in our city. As an artist, listening is what I do. Listening, I have to listen because most of my artwork is commission-based, and I have to hear a lot of negative critiques of my work sometimes. And you have to be able to do that kind of stuff when you get on city council. You have to be able to listen, and you have to be able to take negative critiques when people say they don't like how you vote. And I believe that I can do this, and I believe I can do this well. And I think that I bring a unique perspective to city council, and I hope that I can earn your vote this year on November 7th. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Ruth. Valerie, you have the last statement. 1 minute, please.
Okay, thanks. Thank you so much to our timekeepers, everybody who came tonight, and everybody who's tuned in. And thanks to the League of Women Voters in the city of Wheat Ridge. But especially thanks to all the candidates who are running. This has been the most awesome experience so far, and I just appreciate everybody jumping in. In the 1890s, my family chose Wheat Ridge as their home and the place to start their farm on 45th and Wadsworth. Apelbacher Park off Vance is named for them. They chose Wheat Ridge for their family, just like Sam and I did. I can relate to many Wheat Ridge residents, both that have been here for generations and those that have moved here in the last 5 years. I want to bring my neighbors' concerns, a fresh perspective, and my years of experience to this council. I will bring our community together on the tough issues and demonstrate that compromise, doing your homework, and listening are what make a good leader. And leadership gets work done. I will be a voice on council for my neighbors and residents in the 4th District, and I will work hard to move Wheat Ridge forward while preserving what makes our community so great. And my website, I'll just give that to some people later. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Valerie.
I really appreciate it.
I have one last note before we close this forum, and that is Election Day is November 7th, 2017. You can register to vote online at govotercolorado.com. October 30th is the last day to register. Mail-in ballots will be sent to eligible voters on October 16th. The League of Women Voters works to protect the right to vote. educate, and engage voters. Your voice is your vote. Please remember to mail in your completed ballots. If you would like to find out more information about the League of Women Voters, there are members here this evening that can give you a pamphlet and give you more information. And despite our name as League of Women Voters, we also take men, so I would like to invite you to join also. I would like now for all of us to give these candidates a wonderful hand. I have been very impressed by your answers, and I know you all did your homework, and Wheat Ridge has a wonderful slate, and this is a great city. I lived here when I first came to Colorado, and I really thank you all for supporting this city, and thank you for all the community coming out. What a wonderful group of people this evening. Thank you so much, and if you would like to talk with your candidates, I think they will be available in the corridor, and please remember by 8:30 we have to leave the meeting. We have to close the doors, but thank you so much again.